Let's identify the double entries for the following transaction which occurred in 2007. March 1st, Ajay started business with 5,000 in the business bank account. In this case, you debit the bank account and you credit capital account. Now let's move to the transaction which occurred on 5th. Bought goods for check 1,000. Therefore, purchasers debit, bank credit. 10th, bought goods for check 200. Again, it's purchasers debit, bank credit. Bought goods on credit 12th. Bought goods on credit from Lara. You're purchasing from a specific person. Therefore, purchasers debit, Lara TP credit. 15th, sold goods for cash. Clearly mentions it's by cash. Therefore, cash debit, sales credit. Sold goods for cash. Sold goods for check on 16th. Therefore, bank debit, sales credit. 18th, returned faulty goods to Lara. You're returning it to Lara. So Lara was a trade payable before. You have to reduce the value of trade payable and it's a return. Therefore, Lara TP debit, purchasers returns credit. Next, you bought a motor vehicle from LA Finance. Though it says bought, if you're buying a non-current asset motor vehicle, so you cannot debit it in the purchaser's account. Instead, you debit it in motor vehicle account. And then you credit it in LA Finance. Once we are done with the double entry, you need to identify how many ledgers you need to open. As you can see here, I have done the color coding. You need a bank account, a capital account, purchasers account, Lara TP, sales, cash, purchasers returns, motor vehicle, and LA Finance. Now we're going to name each one of the ledger with these list of ledgers that we had provided. Now let's post the double entry for the transaction which occurred on 1st. You debit bank account and you credit capital account. It's on 1st of March 2007, worth 5,000. So go to the bank account, 1/3/2007. Opposite account's name is capital and the amount is 5,000. Then move to the capital account. On the credit side, 1/3/2007. Opposite account's name is bank and you enter the amount 5,000. Now we are done with the first transaction. Now let's move to the second one. Bought goods for check 1,000. You debit purchasers account and credit bank account. So let's post the entry which occurred on 5th. Debit the purchasers account. So let's move to the purchasers account. On the debit side, this occurred on 5th. Opposite account's name is bank and the amount is 1,000. Now let's show this entry in the bank account. Enter it on the credit side, 5307. Opposite account's name is purchasers and the amount is 1,000. Again on 10th, we're done with the transaction on 5th. Now we are moving to 10th. Bought goods for check 200. Purchasers debit, bank credit. This occurred on 10th. So let's move to the debit entry first, purchases account. On the debit side, you enter 10307. Opposite account's name is bank, followed by the amount 200. Now let's credit this in the bank account. On the credit side, 10307. Opposite account's name purchases, followed by the amount 200. Now we are done with the transaction which occurred on 10th. Now let's move to 12th. Bought goods on credit from Lara 500. Purchases debit, Lara TP credit. So let's move to the purchases account. Enter it on the debit side. The date was on 12th and you purchased it on credit from Lara. Lara is a trade payable and the value of the goods that you purchased is 500. Now this will have a credit entry in Lara's account on 12th. Opposite account's name purchases, followed by the amount 500. Now we are done with the transaction which occurred on 12th. Let's move to 15th. Sold goods for cash 100. Cash debit, sales credit. So let's go to cash account first. And on the debit side, 15307. Opposite account's name is sales and the amount is 100. Now let's post the entry on the credit side of the sales account, 15307. Opposite account's name is cash and the amount is 100. Now we are done with the transaction which occurred on 15th. Now let's move to 16th. Sold goods for check 300. Therefore bank debit and sales credit. Let's debit it in the bank account, 16307. Opposite account's name sales and the amount is 300. Now post this entry to the sales account on the credit side. Date 16307. Opposite account's name is bank and the amount is 300. We are done with the 16th transaction. Now let's move to 18th. Returned faulty goods to Lara 50. You return to Lara. Lara is a trade payable. Therefore, to reduce Lara's amount, you debit Lara TP and credit purchases returns. So let's go to Lara's account. On the debit side, write the date 18307, opposite account's name, purchases returns, followed by the amount 50. Now show this impact in the purchases returns account, that too on the credit side. This occurred on 18307, opposite account's name Lara TP and the amount 50. We are done with the transaction which occurred on 18th. Now we are moving to 19th. Bought motor vehicle from LA Finance 600. So this is very clear that you haven't made the payment by cash or check, but you had gotten the motor vehicle from LA Finance. Therefore, motor vehicle debit, LA Finance credit. So let's go to motor vehicle account. On the debit side, enter the date 19307. Opposite account's name LA Finance and the amount is 600. Now let's show this entry in LA Finance account. On the credit side, 19307. Opposite account's name is motor vehicle and the amount is 600. So far we had identified the double entry. We listed the ledgers that we need to open, and we had posted the double entry of each of the transactions. So we prepared a bank account, a capital account, purchases, cash, motor vehicle, LA Finance, purchasers returns, sales, Lara TP, and bank.